by my main guest on the program today. Times are changing rapidly and there is a demand for new competencies. To discuss this on the program today, we receive a South African-based digital futurist and human-centric digital transformation consultant with a focus on people and culture to instill a digital mindset and a culture of innovation. Nicky Verde is a renowned author of the hit book, Disrupt Yourself or Be Disrupted. In this book, she seeks to bridge the gap between people and technology, giving lay people a glimpse into how emerging technologies are impacting the workplace and life in general. Nicky Verde, you're welcome to Cameroon Feeding.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing well.
We're glad to have you. It's a privilege having you here.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Now, you have a peculiar story, and perhaps Cameroonians don't know about it, from living on food parcels, right? After getting laid off, to being recognized by Thinkers 360 as one of the top 50 global thought leaders on digital disruption and the future of work. What a story. And would you care sharing that part where you got laid off, when you were living on food parcels, you got laid off, and the woman you have become now?
Oh, wow. It's a time in my life that when I look back, I still can't even believe that I overcame that, When you have a job, for me, I thought I had like a permanent contract of employment, which I actually signed, So I was like, I'm fine, I'm sorted, And I was ready to climb the corporate ladder, to the very last end. Those were my dreams. And then suddenly it was taken away from me in an instant. My boss called me in for a meeting. And by the end of that meeting, I thought it was just to bring him up to speed with what has been happening. By the end of that meeting, I was jobless, so to say. So I did not see it coming at all. I didn't see layoff coming. So it took me by surprise. And I had no plan B. Plan B didn't have me either. So I was just like, okay, what next? Where to from here? And then I remember you mentioned food parcel. That is quite a story. People go to church to pray. At that time I was going because I needed something after church, So there was a period in my life where I lived on food parcels. But nonetheless, I had when you are in pain, you're feeling this frustration. For me, it translated into some sort of curiosity. How do organizations continue to thrive when they lay off so many people? Because at that time in South Africa, it was like a bloodbath with layoffs, especially now for me, because I'd been laid off. Every time I turn on the news on the radio, we hear news about people being laid off. It's more like when you buy a car, you start seeing that particular mark of car everywhere. So that was what happened for me. And because this news kept jumping on me, I became very curious about it. So my pain translated into curiosity, and I started asking the questions, how organizations continue to thrive. And that question threw me in the belly of the internet. I vividly remember typing how organizations continue to thrive when they lay off so many people. And that question just took me down into this rabbit hole. So for the first time, I came across concepts like artificial intelligence, which for me sounded like Chinese at the time. I was like, oh, there's a whole new world out there about technology that I don't know nothing about. At that time, the only technology that I was exposed to, or that I knew, would be to do stuff on my cell phone, work on my laptop, send emails at work, all of that. I knew nothing beyond that. And now I'm here on the internet seeing processes that used to be done by humans, and they're now used to be done by humans, and they're now being done by machines. I was fascinated. Being the curious person that I am, I just went deeper and deeper into that hole. Though I was struggling, things were not working, but writing took my mind off whatever was happening in my life at that time, and I started writing about it. Posting it on social media, I realized, oh, there is a hunger for this. So many people started asking me questions. And so I just realized so many people want this knowledge. And at the time I thought, I wish someone could write a book about this. But I didn't think that someone would be me, because I thought you'd need to be really smart to write a book. So I told myself, I'm not educated. I'm not an academician by any stretch of imagination. I'm not coming from a tech background, so I don't qualify to write a book. That was how I interpreted it. But then so many people kept asking me questions the more I was posting it on social media. And at some point I thought to myself, oh, I guess I would just have to write the book. And what better title than Disrupt Yourself? I'll be disrupted, and I have the copyright here, because the title is because I was minding my business. I had plans with my boss, and suddenly he disrupted my life. So I wanted people to start asking difficult questions, so to say, to themselves, can I be replaced by software? Am I relevant for the world in which we're living today? So I wanted to drive that conversation with my book, and I'm so glad that it actually achieved way more than what I intended with the book initially. And
Let me have a copy of the book, Disrupt Yourself or Be Disrupted.
Right.
Now, I'm going to talk about it before the end of the program. But now, the age of AI, artificial intelligence, is definitely upon us, creating a demand, like we did say, for new skills and competencies. Now, tell me, in one of your quotes, I'd like to quote you, you said, the future belongs to those who are digitally fit. Just how relevant is this?
Absolutely. We live in a digital age. If you don't have the basic understanding of how to navigate the digital age, you essentially be left behind, right? A lot of people are into fitness physically, which I'm one of them, but digitally fit is about a mindset. Like, how do you view technology? Are you asking yourself the right questions? How can you leverage technology? Because so many people still look at technology like it belongs to those in IT. This is for IT guys. This is for those who are within the tech space. This is for tech experts. No, that era is over. Right now, you and I, whether you are in tech or not, you have to ask yourself, how can I become relevant? How can I leverage technology to stay relevant? So both of us, all of us, are essentially in tech, whether we like it or not. So, and if you are not having that mindset to be digitally fit, you are going to be left behind. That's essentially what that is about.
Now, just how challenging is it to disrupt the status quo? Because that's what you seek to do.
Yes.
To reinvent people and in an ever-changing world of disruptive technologies.
To be honest, it's difficult to challenge the status quo because people love to be comfortable. People love to go with the flow, to do what they've always been doing. People love doing what is familiar. So when something like artificial intelligence that is being introduced into the world, people are like, oh, what is this? We don't know what this is. The people from the Christian perspective have their own way about ideas about it. Yeah. This is demonic, all of that. But we are all being impacted by this whole narrative. So if you are not willing to really sit back and say, okay, what is this? And how do I incorporate this into my work, into my daily life, into my daily activities, then you are not challenging the status quo. You are basically going with the flow. And going with the flow in this time is dangerous. Yeah. Is literally dangerous. So you have to sit and ask yourself, how is AI impacting my profession? For a journalist like yourself, you have to ask that question. Because when you ask that question, your mind goes to work to find out different ways in which you can upskill to stay relevant. Maybe you are in healthcare. Ask yourself, how is artificial intelligence impacting the healthcare industry? Even those that are in farming, artificial intelligence is impacting every industry. If you're in agriculture, ask yourself, how is my industry being transformed by artificial intelligence? Maybe you're a teacher, whatever industry you find yourself. If you don't ask those questions, you are not disrupting the status quo and you are simply going with the flow. And you wake up one morning and realize you're obsolete.
Now, it's about empowering people. That's your message, not to fight technology, but to embrace it.
Absolutely.
Now, become part of the revolution. And you say that the issue isn't man versus machine,
right,
but people who embrace AI versus people who don't.
Absolutely. I tell people that, yes, there's an idea that AI is going to steal our jobs and all of that. That's true. But that's one part of the story. Okay. There's also people that are leveraging on AI, that are learning about digital skills, they're learning about emerging technologies. That is your real competition. Instead of worrying about AI, the next person that you are sitting with in the office, the person who is learning about AI, that is your real competition, not actually a software machine. Because if an actual human being is leveraging AI, they are making themselves more relevant than you. So there comes a point where you are not worrying about the system, you're worrying about your colleague who is, burning the digital candle, so to say, and staying relevant and learning all of these skills. So if people don't get to that point where they are embracing this and they're fighting it. I remember giving a talk in Nairobi a couple of years, and one guy stood up in the crowd and said, "No, Nicky, this whole conversation is not for Africa. Africa is still in the third industrial revolution." So to say, I'm like, technically, yes, you are right. But this revolution is not asking us if we're ready. So you can say Africa is not ready for this, right? And actually, AI is giving Africa an opportunity to leapfrog. It's giving you and I an opportunity to leapfrog, because this was a technology for the elite class. But now it has come down to the people on lay people like you and I, people on the ground, where now we can like, oh wow, what an opportunity to use this tool to empower yourself. But so many people, when they look at this conversation around AI, they only think of one thing: I'm going to lose my job.
Yeah.
It's just one part of the conversation.
Okay, let's talk about this book now, shall we?
Yes.
Disrupt yourself or be disrupted. Escape conformity, reinvent thinking, thrive in an era of emerging technologies and economic anxiety. Tell me about it.
Absolutely. Like I mentioned, my journey to writing the book, it came from losing my job. It came from trying to make sense of it all. I didn't even know that there was a writer in me. I didn't know that there was a speaker in me. All of these things came out from when I lost my job and I had to make sense of it all. Like you asked, how did I survive? It's really by trying to make sense of what has happened to you, And I thought to myself, I truly felt like someone needed to talk about this on a big platform, so to say. But I didn't think that someone would be me, because I really wanted to drive conversations where people are asking themselves difficult questions. Whether you are a business owner, you are an employee, or whatever you do, ask yourself difficult questions. Am I relevant for the world in which we are today? I spoke about schooling is not education in chapter 9 of my book, which is something so many people, simply because they went to school and they have this certificate hanging on their wall, they think that is where life ends. It's literally the beginning. Real education happens outside the classroom. So I wanted to challenge some of those thinking. Like, in the age in which we're living, if the only thing you bring into the table is a certificate, that is not good enough. You have to bring more than that. Yeah. But some people, because they went to this fancy school and they have a certificate, and when I talk like this, some people feel like I'm against education. Yeah. I am not at all. It is simply to share that there's more. You need to bring more today than just a certificate. Are you able to solve problems in real time? Are you creative? Can you think on your feet? If something were to happen right now, can you bounce back? Do you have resilience? Are you able to work with people? Do you have emotional intelligence? These are skills that people neglect and think that they can just bring their certificate on the table and it works, but it doesn't work like that. You need to be someone who is agile. One of my favorite quotes from Arvin Toffler, and he said, the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. So the problem is not even in learning. The problem is in unlearning. Because for so many of us, again, I mentioned we are used to doing what is familiar, or we don't want to disrupt the status quo. But according to Arvin Toffler, if that is your mindset, you're considered the illiterate of the 21st century. Even though you have a degree, even though you have an MBA, even though you have a PhD, if you don't have the ability to consistently learn and unlearn, you are considered the illiterate of the 21st century. That is essentially the message I try to push with the book. And
this book includes 25 business ideas and nuggets, and to create your own economy. And Absolutely. This is very interesting, Nicky. Now, where can we find this book?
It's available here in Yaoundé at Jolly Live Books. I'm actually here with her in the audience. So yes, the books are available here in Yaoundé.
Where is Jolly Live Books, for those who don't know where it is found?
What is the name of it? Total Jovans. Yes, opposite Total Jovans. Yes, that's where the bookstore is.
And online?
Yes, online on my website, on Amazon as well.
Okay, and your website is
NickyVerde.com.
NickyVerde.com. So, summarily, what is the message for Cameroonians to, retain this morning?
Absolutely. I've been away from home for so long. And when I came back, I realized that this is still a virgin land when it comes to digital transformation, right? I remember walking into my brother's office and I saw so much paper on the table. I was like, I can't remember the last time I saw so many files and folders and cabinets. I'm not from an environment that is like that. So for many Cameroonians, I feel that this is still a virgin land. It's still a message that some people feel like maybe it's for the Western world, but no, it is closer to home than you think. Digital transformation may be slow in Cameroon, but it is coming. So don't wait until the wave hits you before you start finding out what to do. There's a quote that says, don't wait till it starts raining before you fix the roof of your house. I mean, you're going to get drenched in rain. So the best time to fix the roof is when the sun is shining. So even though the transformation is not happening on the country the way I would want to see it happening, it is still up to you as an individual to get the knowledge on time, get the transition on time, get the digital mindset on time, so that even if the the country is lagging behind. Usually, innovation and disruption comes from the people, not necessarily those in power or the leaders or the government. So for young people listening, have ideas that can change the country. It is an opportunity. Don't sit back and say, my country is not developing, but look for opportunities in which you can develop the country through innovation and technology. Through innovation and technology. Look for opportunities that can develop motherland Cameroon. Thank you again, Nicky Verde, for your time on the program today. Looking forward to other opportunities like this. Thank you for having me. All right. From me to you is God bless you. God bless the Republic of Cameroon. See you on Thursday. Cheers.